What's up, people? It's me. I'm here, and I wanted to wait until after the end of the Michigan-UConn game to talk about the Huskies game today because that had a indirect impact on where I was going to go. So, yeah, I'm going to get to that by the end of the video, but first let's just talk about the game today. Didn't make a pregame video for it. I didn't really know how to approach talking about this game because you can't prove anything playing a team like Idaho State. They're not only a Division II team, they're a bad Division II team. It's almost like you're playing a high-end high school team or something. So you can't prove anything no matter really what you do to them. But as it turns out, I think we did prove a little something today just in the fact that instead of beating them, say, 38-10 or even 49-14, we did beat them 56-0. And if you watch that game, you know we could have scored 100 on them, not even with great difficulty. It would have been elementary for us to get to 100, and we had no problem shutting down their offense for all but 2 drives. So we did prove that we are deserving of being a team ranked in the top 20. Any team ranked in the top 20, especially one that is supposed to have a really good offense like we do, should be able to do whatever they want to all game against a team like Idaho State. And, you know, I don't want to brag about how great the team played today. They did play great for the most part, but I understand. You look across the field at the Bengals, and they have a bunch of one-star recruits, a bunch of guys who probably wouldn't even be playing college football if not for the Idaho State Bengals wanting them. So you're supposed to do whatever you want to do against a team like the Bengals. But the good things from this game are we came out on fire. We scored 21 points in the first quarter, 21 points in the second quarter, and then the game was done. At that point, we brought in backups, and we were just like, we're going to basically run the clock out almost for the entire second half. So it wasn't one of those things where maybe the game is kind of close at halftime and then in the third quarter you take over. No, we came out, we had one mistake with the fumble, and then we put it on the Bengals drive after drive after drive. So whatever there is to prove against a bad Division II team like the Idaho State Bengals, we proved it today. So maybe that's not much of anything, but we could have proven things the other way today. So just real quick, passing game, excellent. Keith Price, excellent game. Did whatever he wanted at all times he was in during the first half. 16-21, 3 touchdowns. He ran for another touchdown, finding all his different receivers. Happy to see Austin Seferian-Jenkins have a good game because he really didn't do that much last week. His first game after the suspension, not his game. Today, he played better. He had some big impact plays in the passing game, and that was always good to see. He got in the end zone. Kason Williams, Mickens had a few catches. Kevin Smith had a couple catches. The ball was spread around. We have a lot of playmakers on this team, and we used them today. Pass protection was great. Again, you know, it's our offensive line against a bunch of one-star recruit defenders. It's our receivers against their one-star recruit secondary guys, but still, we're talking about execution, and for most of the game we did that. But running game was superb, and we did it with a whole bunch of different guys. We had starting running backs, starting offensive linemen, but we also had backup offensive linemen and backup running backs. So we got to see the full roster, and they executed. They didn't do anything amazing. It's not like they're running up and down the field against a good defense or a defense that has any prayer of stopping you. But what they did do was execute, mostly. And I'll get to the one problem in this game in a second here. But Bishop Sankey, and this was good to see. He had 4 carries. He scored a touchdown, and then we took him out of the game because my fear with Bishop is that we're going to wear him out by giving him 30 touches a game. When we get to the end of the season, we don't need Bishop Sankey to suddenly have tired legs. So we took advantage of this game, our one scheduled win this year, our one easy game, because now the conference play starts. And we decided, let's just give him a couple carries, get him in the end zone, and we're going to pull him out. And we did. So we got to see a whole bunch of different guys prove what they could do, toting the rock. Dwayne Washington, after the bad game he had last week, came back, caught a touchdown pass, did some good things running the ball as well. He looks like he's going to be a important part of this offense, and I'm glad to see that he's bounced back after the fumbles last week. Jesse Collier continues to be a safety valve for if we don't trust Dwayne Washington in a game because he fumbles again. He had a good game. McDaniel, I guess he would be our fourth string running back. He came in at the end of the game, helped run the clock out, played pretty well. We have a lot of talented running backs on this team. Cooper, which is a fun story. He's another running back on this team that got carries in this game. He's had 3 major leg injuries, and this is basically his last chance to play meaningful college football. He got on the field, he got a lot of carries, and he got in the end zone, so we're all happy for Cooper. And basically, no matter who we put out there, we were able to effectively run the ball, and definitely good news. And the final note on the offense, that's positive at least, is Skylar Miles. Everybody watch this guy. He is the Washington Husky quarterback of the future. He should start next year, and we saw a really good look at him today. He ran the ball very well. He's very mobile. He's very fast. He can take off. He had a 60-yard run. He looked pretty good passing the ball. Obviously, he only threw a limited number of passes, but I thought he looked pretty good. I was happy with the game that he had in the second half. And he's big, too. So he is a total package of quarterback. And if we can squeeze maximum potential out of him, then that's going to be really good. Because I think he can be a good college quarterback. And he did his thing today. Defense, the whole defense was excellent. We forced some turnovers. We got a ton of quarterback pressure. We got sacks. We tackled well. We held Idaho State to negative yards into the third quarter. They didn't start moving the ball until the third quarter. Then in the second half, they had 2 drives that ended in missed field goals. And there you go. They're starters. We're playing our backups. They have one real playmaker on that offense, Richmond, the wide receiver, number 5. We held him to 16 yards receiving, I think it was. He didn't do much. He had a couple of good catches that were called back on penalties. But the defense, every element of the defense played excellent pretty much the whole game. All right, the one problem that you take away from this game and the one thing that's going to be a killer when conference play starts is the penalties. It was worse this week. 16 penalties, 2 touchdowns called back on penalties, 10 first half penalties. That's too much. That's twice as many as you should have. That's 3 times as many as you should have. You should be having 5 to 6 penalties a game. You live with those. But when you go over 5 or 6, you're starting to get in trouble. And when you get all the way up to 16, you are taking points off the board. Now, in fairness to this team, they overcame their penalties today to score touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. And ultimately, honestly, the penalties didn't even affect the game because every time we had a penalty, it seemed like we would just bounce right back the next play and come up with a big play. But that's not going to be the case next week. That's not going to be the case in all our future games this year. Has to be fixed. Both my football teams, the Huskies and the Seahawks, huge penalty problem. It's got to stop. But that was the only bad thing today. Everything else, I can't say anything bad about these guys. They didn't prove anything, but by that same token, they didn't prove that they weren't as good as I thought. They proved that they were what I think they are. Maybe even a little more. To that end, we had some college football action, of course, all around the country today. And I was watching just to see if maybe we'd get a little bit of an unexpected bump tomorrow or Monday. As it turns out, I think we did. A little one, and it's not a guarantee, but Michigan went to the wire with UConn, the UConn Huskies. So at this point, Michigan has now won by the skin of their teeth against 2 bad teams, Akron and UConn. So if you look at what happened last week and then in the rankings and then you project what will happen next week, I think we're going to jump Michigan, which would launch us from 17 to 16. So that would be cool. Another week in the top 25. Well, that's a guarantee, but I think we're going to jump Michigan and go to number 16. As for jumping into number 15, I was hoping that maybe Miami would slip up against Savannah State, but they beat Savannah State worse than we beat Idaho State. So that they obviously deserve to be ranked ahead of us right now. I was hoping maybe UCLA would slip up in their game tonight, but they're already up by 4 touchdowns, I think, or 3 or 4. So that's not happening. Maybe if the voters forget that Oklahoma exists because they didn't play this week, but I don't think we're cracking the top 15 this week. I think we'll settle in at 16 for a week, and we can enjoy that. And then next week get ready for an Arizona team that I think is going to be tough. I know this team has been better than I expected so far this year, but I just have a funny feeling that they're going to be very tough for us to stop with their offense. So I'll talk about that in the future. If we beat Arizona, they'll prove something to me. But I guess that's all I got for this week. Bow down to Washington. Good game today. We did everything we could, but we have to clean up the penalties. If we lose a close game to Arizona and we have 10 plus penalties, there are going to be some pissed off people. That's what I'll say. So see you guys later.